You have reached review time with Emperiol. Today's review will be The Stranger on the new streaming platform Quibi. Let's get into it. Now, Quibi is a new streaming platform that is putting out some content that intriguing for you to watch, and they don't necessarily have an app from what I've seen. They got like where you can download their platform to wherever, and then you can watch their shows. Now, the way they do it is they give you clips of like how Netflix would give you like 10 episodes, and it's like it could either be an hour a piece or 30 minutes per episode, something like that. Quibi gives you like 10-minute clips of the same type of format. And I seen that they had they got Kevin Hart has a show on there, or a movie, whatever you want to call it, called Die Hart. And I kept seeing this one, The Strangers, and it was intriguing. So you had it's about the cast, the main cast. You have Dan DeHaan as Carl, he's the main character, and Micah Monroe, she plays as Clare, she's also the main character. Avon Jogia as JJ, he's like a co-star. And then you have Roxana Brusso, that's Captain Vasquez. And so basically, if you've seen the trailers, it's just it starts just that's where it starts off. Claire's out in Los Angeles. She's doing a Uber type job or Lyft, but it's called like whatever it's called, Orbits or something like that. And she goes out, picks this man up from a residence, and he comes in, and it starts off cool, but about 5 minutes into the ride, she basically states that she's not from there, and that she is basically a loner. And he was like, well, let's get to know each other, let's go out and have something to eat, and then we're not gonna hold anything back. So she like, tell me about yourself. And then she, he like, basically what you want to know. And she said, well, are you rich, or are you a celebrity? And he pretty much was like, why would you think that? And he was like, basically, well, I don't know. I'm picking you up from your mansion or whatever. And he like, oh, I don't live there, and I don't even know the people who live there. And then she like, what? And he like, yeah, pretty much. I had somebody just like you drop me off. The person came to the door, and I blew their head off. And he was saying he went in, and she took notice to it, like, yeah, right. But he was dead serious. So he was like, I found the husband, I killed the husband. Then the kids was crying. And then by the time it got to that point, he pulled out a knife on her. So then she was shook up. So she was hysterical, and she ended up running into something. And when she ran into it and knocked him out for a quick second, she ran out the car, and she's screaming, but she's in the middle of nowhere, so ain't nobody can see her. So he gets out, but he's stumbling or whatever. So that was her way to jump back in the car. Now, anybody would think, well, he's on the ground and you in the car. He's on the ground knocked out and you in the car. Run his behind over. Right. I mean, at that point you got to, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't take no chances. At that point, she calls 911 while she's driving, and they told her basically they'd meet her at a destination. And she's hysterical. She's with the cops. She's telling them the situation. They don't believe her. She said he put something in the back of her car. She never seen what it was, so she's thinking it's a body, but it was like a made-up doll in a basket. And they pretty much told her, like, if we ain't gonna lock you up now, but if you keep calling us about some bogus whatever, we're going to you're gonna get locked up for that. So it went from there. The cops left her at the gas station. She went into the gas station. Well, she didn't go into the gas station. She took the doll out in a basket and put it in the trash. Meanwhile, she met the JJ. He was a store clerk at the gas station, and he kind of took to her right off the way, like love at first sight type. Love at first sight, and he took to her right away. And so from there, he's all googly eyed. Told her what he was doing. He was going to school for like IT, and she pretty much brushed him off, like off of her experience. So she kind of told him what happened, and he kind of was like, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z with your phone and do whatever. But he was real creepy. So after what she just experienced, she ain't trying to hear from him. But she left, and from there, as she's driving, the guy calls her, like, basically like, you should have, you know what I mean, you should have killed me, blase blah. So now she's like, well, where this dude at? How he know where I was at and everything? So she ends up back at her house, and when she's back at her house, she's parking in her development. She's in a gated area, but you see the gate doesn't close all the way, so you already see that's gonna be a flag. She gets in the house, and as soon as she comes in, the dog is there. She got a little dog, and she picks up the dog. You see she got this knife set. It's full, but then all of a sudden, you see the knife. One of the knives is missing, and then when she looked back, her door is open. She knows she didn't open her door, so she hurried up and ran out, and she's knocking on people's door. Nobody's coming out of their door, and she then runs into the elevator, and now she sees him, and he starts running towards the elevator, and she hurry up, gets in, shut the elevator, goes upstairs. From there, the very next floor she get out, he's there, he grabs her. Now she's trying to close the door, he's trying to grab her or whatever. So she ended up making out. She got the dog with her. She's hysterical. She makes out, and she goes into a part of the town, and it's like a biblical, like a church, Mexican church, and they're in there praising God. She goes into the bathroom, and he comes in there and bangs on the door. He throws a knife into the knife he took from her house. He stabs it into the bathroom door. So she's shook at this point. She's shook, and she comes out. She grabs the knife and leaves out. But when she goes across the street, looks across the street, she left her dog in the car. When she goes across the street, she sees that a woman was stabbed, and now she got the knife. Everybody thinks she was the one that did it. So she's hysterical. She drives off, and she ends up needing gas, and she ends up back at the gas station where JJ was. Now she comes back this time hysterical. JJ is confiding in her. She tell him her story, and he's believing her, and he's with it. In the meantime, she calls her mom back home, and then the mom kind of gets quiet on her, and then the mom was basically like, basically, you did this before, and we can't take no chance with you. Like, I'm gonna have to come out there and spend some time with you. Like, you did this before, and the last time you did it, it wasn't factual. And so from there, she hung up with her mom, and then the guy calls her again. So he's following. She doesn't know how he's following her, how he's keeping track of her. And so therefore, she goes to JJ, and JJ this time saying, we gonna be out. So he leaves the store, just met her, he's googly eyed, and now him and her is in his car driving off. So now you're thinking JJ's a bad guy, or he's in on it. Like, why would you be this trusting? Why would you be distrusting to somebody you just met? And so from there, he calls her and basically like, I'm watching you and I see both of y'all. They seen him. Had both of them on recording at the store where JJ was, and so JJ's hysterical now too. But you thinking at this point you're thinking JJ's in on it, and so from there you go from a cop pulls them over, and the cop is pretty much finds a gun in the glove compartment, and he roughs JJ up, and the cop is like kind of like a dirty cop in a sense, but she pulls the gun out on the cop, and so she has the cop, stand down, let JJ go. JJ gets back in the car, and then the screen shifts and you just see her gunshots. So she told JJ she just shot out his tires, but you later hear that the cop was killed. But now you're thinking that she actually killed the cop, because now JJ is with her. They're trying to get to Mexico, and they get on a bus or like a train they was taking to Mexico, but the train got stopped, and now she's looking and sees the guy inside of the train. Once again, he knows where she at, so she wakes JJ up like, yo, we gotta get out of here, he's here. JJ never actually seen him the whole time, so JJ is with her. They end up in the subways, like the dark tunnels and stuff. So they're traveling, and they come across she put her little dog up, and they get to this part where they need to climb, and they come across these wolves in the tunnels, and the wolves is on their way to attack them, but the train is coming, so they hurry up and jump up the wall, get out of there, and the dog is in between this cupboard somewhere, and when she finds the dog, they follow the tunnel, and it ends up at a club. So that was weird. And inside the club, Carl is after her. He pops up in the club. So once again, he still knows where they're at, and so they end up dipping, because somebody jumped on Carl at the club. Some women jumped on Carl, so now he's been distracted. That was their move to beeline. They get in a taxi, and they went to this secluded, like, ran down motel. JJ reached out to some people he know. They dropped off some like wig for her, some burner phones. They called like a 24-hour lawyer, and then the lawyer was like, okay, I'll take the case, meet me here at a certain time. Now this whole night starts at 7 p.m. and now by now it's like 2 in the morning, somewhere around there. So the lawyer hits JJ back, basically like, they're not going to take the case because she has done this before. And so now because she had to give her full name. So now at this point, JJ like, yo, I really confided in you. What you mean you done this before? So what happened was, when she was younger, she had stated that a teacher had sex with her. And after the pressure got on and everything got heated, she came back and recanted her statement. So everybody looked at her as a liar, and her life was like in turmoil from that turn point. And so Carl does eventually, in one of those times that they're back and forth, he brings that up. So JJ basically, he was upset, and he left her like, yo, I'm not fooling with you. So she was out on her own, just with her and her dog. And so this whole time, her and Carl has been talking the whole day, and Carl pretty much is saying the world we know, we're all connected to the internet, and basically saying that you can find out everything you need to know about somebody through social media, and you can find out their lifestyle, if they're going to be on drugs, if they're into drugs, And basically he's been doing that, and basically he's been saying life is an algorithm, especially through social media, and basically you can weed out the good people and weed out the bad people, and he's basically saying I'm weeding out the bad people. And so he's like a serial killer. And so um, decent concept. So basically from there, she eventually gets pulled in because the cops is after her, thinking she did all the crime, and she gets pulled in with the cops, and she gets in and tells everybody she didn't do all that stuff. So when you look at it, you see the whole precinct basically seeing her being recorded, and she like, I want my one phone call. And so she calls Carl, and basically Carl, he kidnapped JJ, and so he basically telling her like, yo, I'm at a certain place and you meet me here. But he don't know he's being recorded. Well, you think he don't know he's being recorded by the officers. So they were like, we got him, and they sent a crew out there to him. So when they got there, that's what the Captain Vasquez is out there. When they got out there, it was a decoy, and he had a fake gun inside of that area. And so when they was like, it's a decoy, back at the precinct, they had JJ was knocked out and taped inside of a bathroom stall and put his shoes on JJ. And so when he put his shoes on JJ, she kind of thought, because she was still in the precinct, like, that's because she went to the bathroom and she looked in the stall, and it was she seen Carl's shoes that he had. And so she ran out, told the officer, yo, he's in there. And so now all the officers is lined up, it's like 7 of them, all with their guns, and they're pretty much got their guns faced at the stall, like telling them to come out. And so he had a fake gun that shoots off like the noise of a gun, but it's not actually a gun. And so that gun got shot off, and then they shot into the stall, and of course it was JJ. And so she was pretty much tore up behind that, and they didn't understand how he got in. But what he did was he was able to get inside the precinct dressed up as a cop, and he brought in JJ. He brought in JJ as like a perpetrator, and so he was able to hack into the precinct system and shut down their whole like camera system and everything like that. So man, it's a very interesting show, very good. And then from there, the last scene is pretty much at this time, Claire, she didn't had a rough night. He got away, killed JJ, and now she's like, she used to say like stuff like during the night you hear that she was a hunter with her dad or whatever. So he was fond of Claire or whatever. So he took Claire. No, well, she took her dog and put it in the SPCA. So basically, like, she on some old, either I'm gonna kill myself and she loved her dog, or I'm going to hunt this guy. Either one. So you show her at the top of this bridge, and then you see Carl reach out to her, pretty much like, you know, at this time you probably didn't had it in life, and you're probably gonna take some pills, or you're gonna jump off a bridge or something, while I'm gonna live my life and continue to do the things I've been doing. And then he showed a picture that he went to the SPCA and got her dog or whatever. And so he like, so long, sucker, you know, pretty much. And he's ready to drive off. Now she's in the area where there is in Los Angeles, where it's like, it used to be like a river, but now it's just open, just ground, no cameras and stuff like that. So he's Gary drive off, and that's where she looked like you would think that okay, maybe she thinking about committing suicide. And he's Gary drive off in that big area like that, and then a shot goes through, bang, and it causes him to crash the car, and that shot that went through busted open his leg, where he gets out the car and his leg is busted open. Next thing you see her, next time you see her, she's over top of him, and basically she got the gun pointed at him and stuff like that. So she's talking her stuff to him and stuff like that, basically telling him like, I figured out everything that you were doing, and I figured out where we're at. There's no cameras at, so you can scream and holler, nobody's gonna hear you. So basically, he was like, "Yo, help me up! Like you're not gonna kill me. You don't got it in you to kill me." And so she figured out that the way he was able to keep in contract with her is, people who got pets, they get chips implanted inside of their pets. And so when he discovered her online, he broke into her apartment, got her dog, and he messed with the chip inside the dog, so where he could track that chip. And so he knew everywhere she would go, she would keep the dog, and so that's how he was always able to hear what she was doing and be 10 steps ahead of her the whole time. And she figured that part out, and so he knew she would never get rid of her dog. And so meanwhile, she knew, once she figured it out, she knew he would go get the dog out of SPCA, and now she had a tracker on him. And so now that's how she was able to get him. So she's breaking it down how she figured everything out. And so he was still like, you're not gonna kill me or whatever. So then she, grabbed her dog and pretty much was like, this is like a little Yorkshire type dog, and she was like, whatever the dog name was, and said kill. So now he looking at this little piece of dog and can't kill me. Now what all the dog did some little howl type thing. And then she picked the dog up and started walking off. And out of nowhere came those same wolves that was in the tunnels or whatever. And so that little howl that dog did pretty much was just sending the howl to those wolves. You know what I'm saying? And those wolves came out, and then of course he was being recorded, and the wolves tore him up, killed him. So it was a decent film. Plus all the trailers that you kept seeing intrigued you to watch it. So overall, it was a good film. Out of my 4-star rating system, I'm gonna give this it kept you in tune enough. 3 out of 4 stars. It was decent. Yeah, 3 out of 4 stars. I give it 3 out of 4 stars. And I wouldn't be mad if somebody said 2.5 out of 4 stars. You know what I'm saying? I can see that happening as well, or whatever. But it was a decent film. And the moments you kept thinking of, like, oh man, that was stupid. Like that don't make no sense right there, and or whatever. And how gullible JJ was. That's what, when you see how gullible JJ was, that's what'll make it to 2.5. That's what brings it down a notch. Cause you're like, man, you just met this chick and you all whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's what brings it down to 2.5. But but once you find out like how he kept knowing, then you find out about the chip and all that, then you say, all right, because it's a lot of moments you was like, come on, cuz why did you do, like, so I could see where somebody would say, you know what, let me go with that. Once I break that down and really start revisiting, let's go with the 2.5 out of 4 stars. I said 3 out of 4 stars. Let's take that back down. My bad. I'm normally clear on it, but I'm gonna go with the 2.5 out of 4 stars and my 4-star rating system. Subscribe to the channel and definitely like this video. Comment if you did see the movie or plan to. Till next time.